got to use this music now. Thanks for joining us. Oh, it's going to be a long show. How you guys doing tonight?
Good to be back, man.
You could have heard my rant before the show, folks. It would have been great. Thanks for joining us. It is the Burning River Browns Talk on the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. Thank you for joining us. With me, obviously, every Friday night is Sherry at Browns Fan Girl. She has her own show, which is coming back now. Took a break from the holidays. Next Wednesday,
that is correct.
Breezy Browns Talk.
Correct. That is correct. Thank you.
And with me, a fellow colleague of a former. Hello, the stores are empty here in St. Louis. Well, move to Cleveland. So,
I'm sure that they're snow covered. Nobody's out right now.
No, nobody's out today. I'm in Geauga County, where it's like it's let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. So
it's up and down here for sure.
With me is Noah Olson. What is your show at the office?
At the Office, a Cleveland sports show. You can find us on YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We're there. Me and all my boys who were doing some content over here at Fanatical Elves broke off. We're doing our own thing now.
More than welcome to me. And you're always welcome on the show here. Always.
Of course, 100%. I'm glad to be back, as I said when we came on. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. So we're obviously tomorrow, season finale, this really disappointing season, which it is. I'll be honest. I'll say what it is coming to an end, and really talking about that. But there's not much to say. There's not much to say. Jarvis? Hey, Jarvis. Thanks. There's not much else to say about the game itself because I don't think we have a snowball's chance in hell in winning.
Did you see the odds when it's at like plus 18? Like you bet $10 on the Browns. If for some reason they pull it out of their ass, you win $180.
Yeah.
That's how high the odds are right now.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I just don't, which is fine. I can accept that. I'd rather at this point.
However, plot twist, it would be the most Brownsiest thing ever if Bailey Zappi starts and completely balls out and they win against the Ravens.
What's a Brownsy thing? Explain that.
Ass backwards?
Yes. Something somewhat absurd and different and
but if they do lose, they're still
unexpected.
Hold on.
It's not negative.
Walk with me here. Yes, it is. It kind of is, because that's my point. So if they win, it's bad, and if they lose,
I'm always cheering for them to win.
Yeah, I'm always cheering for them to win too. But at this point, I mean, if they don't win, which they probably won't, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm being realistic. And if New England wins while Buffalo's resting their starters, and Tennessee wins while Houston's resting their starters, which could happen, we get the number 1 overall pick.
Amen.
Right, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing. That could be the strangest blessing in disguise of this horrible season, because I've saw trade scenarios on this. I wanted to bounce this off both of you. Did you see this trade scenario with the Jets?
The Garrett Wilson trade? Is that what you're referring to?
If the Jets are at like 10th or 11th, they trade up. We get Garrett Wilson and their first rounder.
Yes, I did see this. Yeah.
Okay. Would that be good enough for you, or would you want more from the Jets? Because if they're crazy enough to do that, they might be willing to throw in.
Wasn't there like a second rounder next year in that mock? It was an ESPN mock. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Steve gets it. Brownsy thing, because they win when you least expect it, and that's my point as well. It's not necessarily negative; it's just different.
Right.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was, regardless, yes, I would take that.
Thanks for clarifying, Sherry. Okay, go ahead, Noah.
No, you're good. You would be adding a number 1 wide receiver to a room that looks pretty decent with what you got going on with Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Judy's a Pro Bowler. Judy's a Pro Bowler now. Yeah, we got 3 Pro Bowlers and a list of alternates on this team.
Sweet.
Yeah, we do. I mean, including Nick Chubb was on that alternate list too, which kind of surprised me. But you got Joel Bitonio, I think Njoku. So it's not like the cupboard's as bare as it was in 2017 or 16. Like I was trying to explain that to John. I said, yeah, there was reasons why this happened. I think we know why it happened. The offensive line sucked. as well as the quarterback sucked. The quarterback wasn't playing well at all, and it's just like it was a perfect storm to have this happen. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
You speaking to me? Yeah. I just think it's
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's 100% would be a good move. I'm not completely sold on any of these quarterbacks or anything like that. You move back to 10 or 11 or wherever the Jets are going to be at. You still have your pick at some of the cream of the crop. Who knows who falls to you at that point with a run on quarterbacks, as we typically see in the NFL draft, with a run on some of these other players. You know, Genty might go in top 10 still at that.
I don't think he's a top 10 pick, to be honest with you. Go ahead. I watched him against Penn State. What did you, I mean,
I think he'll go top 10 regardless. There's so many good running backs in this draft. It's hard to justify taking someone in the top 10, in my opinion.
He doesn't see them winning. Okay. If they don't win, they don't win.
Hey, Drew. First-time listener.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you for commenting. Yeah, I mean, I'll be a Patriots and Titans fan on Sunday if we lose tomorrow. I will be.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you.
I will be. And I think we're all, I have yet to see anybody. I think Dane Brugler on a video said Cam Ward was the perfect fit for the Browns. And I'm going, huh? What? Or Mike Tannenbaum was saying something crazy, which he says a lot of crazy shit. The former Jets GM. I'm just like, dude, where'd you come up with this? Sherry, tell me, just kind of give me an idea. What would you think of a Garrett Wilson trade to add to our wide receiver room, plus getting a first round pick? I would say get what you can from the Jets, because the Jets do some goofy stuff. Yeah.
Right. The whole Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams is.
Hell, package Aaron Rodgers in on that trade too.
Really? You'd be okay with
No, I hate Aaron Rodgers.
I just like that you said that. I like that you said that.
Well, we could segue to quarterback. We could segue to quarterback on this if you want, but go ahead, give your.
Honestly, I
want Breece Hall. She wants Breece Hall. Get Wilson and the pick. Okay.
That
yeah.
It sounds like a nice present. If that would happen, I don't know. I'm so stuck on really wanting some new O-line gentlemen.
Well,
which I know will happen, but if they're willing,
we could get a very good left tackle with that 10th pick.
Right.
We could get a very good defensive tackle with that 10th pick to pair up against Michael Hall. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm just like, I honestly think, this is calling me crazy. Even if we landed at 2, we could still trade back, because New England, because they already know, the Jets know New England won't take a quarterback. They got Drake May, a top 10 pick. So that actually wouldn't be a bad thing to have the 2nd pick and talk to the Jets or talk to the Raiders or talk to the Giants and make a bidding war out of it.
Hell, even the 3rd, you don't know where Tennessee is going to go. They just took a shot at Will Levis. Maybe they're going to take a break from trying to dabble in the quarterback in a down draft. There's a lot of options.
Well,
you could really
one of those two would be available at 3.
Yeah.
One of those two will be available at 3. And honestly, yeah, that would be wonderful. We'll see what happens, but I think I honestly don't see them making a move to draft a quarterback or really fix that quarterback room long term until next offseason.
Right.
And this is me just kind of thinking a little bit too far ahead, but Drew Aller.
I'm wearing an Ohio State hoodie right now. I'm a big Drew Aller supporter, though, even though he's
at Penn State, yeah.
Being a Cleveland kid, I know it's Medina really, but being a Cleveland area kid, a Browns fan, I know we did this with, I think it was Brady Quinn or something was
Quinn was Columbus. Yeah, Quinn was Columbus, but yeah.
Regardless, a local kid and falling in love with it. I know we've done it before, but he has all the tools to succeed in the NFL. He just needs another year.
Ask Steeler fans about Kenny Pickett.
Right.
Steeler fans.
Are you not an Aller guy?
Me? I am.
I am.
I am. I would be ecstatic if we got Drew Aller next year. Like if we go to the Jets and they give us if we get like they give us this year's, if we have the number 1 overall pick and we go to the Jets and we get like a first round this year and a first round next year from them, not even Wilson, I'd be ecstatic because then we'd have 2 first round picks and say like we're 15th or 16th. We could use those picks to move up if we have to get.
No,
to get
I'm
out.
with you 100%. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind that at all. So that's just, curb my enthusiasm. We're not getting too far ahead. I'm hearing the rumors of Kirk Cousins.
I've heard that too. Like, why would that be beneficial?
Well, he was good with Stefanski. I know he had a very rough patch of games there. Listen, I don't think the long-term or a fantastic answer is going to pop up unless something crazy happens, like the Niners move off of Purdy and then there's a whole quarterback shakeup of a bunch of quarterbacks or something. I'm talking wild asinine theory right now. Kirk Cousins sounds like a good veteran stopgap option as opposed to trotting Deshaun Watson and pissing off the fan base next year. That's just me.
I think they're done with Watson. I think they're done with Watson. They're not going to okay, hold on. Let me not get too far ahead because there was that ESPN article that came out.
Yeah, I was literally reading it before the show. Just I read it this morning. Everything.
I read it this morning. And I was thinking, but the first thing I did was I saw reactions to it first, then I read it myself. And the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show did a huge negative spin on that. I don't know if you saw that, but they were calling it a mess and it's dysfunction because they're talking about who's calling the plays. And I always said, it doesn't matter who's calling the plays, you still have to execute them. And when they switched over the play calling to Dorsey, we won. We beat Baltimore that weekend. Yeah. So they made it sound like it was a big deal, but I think they're making more of that But if you read the article itself, it doesn't sound like it's a building filled with dysfunction at all.
It sounds like a building that is shocked of what happened this season. I think all of their cards that they were expecting to play out in their favor didn't play out in their favor. They were expecting to see the Deshaun Watson of that Ravens game from 2023. It didn't. I mean, they said that in the article. I'm basically, paraphrasing what they said.
Yeah.
I don't know some of the verbiage in that article, and I don't know who the insider or the person inside the walls.
Unnamed sources. Yeah, unnamed sources.
It seems like Watson will be back next year. It seems like they're kind of hoping that he returns to form, but they're going to bring in 2 guys here. Kyle Trask got mentioned in there. I kind of forgot about him as a person. I thought that was really interesting.
I think I wouldn't. The thing with Kirk Cousins, he's going to get cut by the Falcons.
Yeah.
Before March 16th. So we could get him dirt cheap for nothing and just bring him in and take a flyer on him if he doesn't retire.
Yeah.
If he does now, Kyle Trask could come in and Jacoby Brissett can come in and we could draft the guy in the 3rd round. I mean, like a Dylan Gabriel or somebody like that. Just throwing that out there. So right there, I mean, but the thing that I was missing in the article was if you saw Deshaun Watson's injury against the Bengals, that Achilles tendon rolled up like a window shade. I mean, it was
so gross.
I mean, he's not going to be back at training camp competing.
Remind me, guys, were you in the stadium for that game?
Yes, I was.
I thought you both were. We all were. I think I remember talking.
And most of the fans that were doing the cheering were Bengals fans.
Yeah.
They were Bengals fans that were doing.
Yeah, I remember this. I think we talked about that on a.
And then there was a misleading reel of him being carted off, and then you're hearing "You deserve it."
No.
That didn't happen. That did not happen. I was there because the next week was Baltimore, and the guy sitting next to me was talking about that. I said that I was here. That didn't happen. We were here. He goes, really? I said, yeah, that was bullshit. That never happened. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. They restructured Watson's contract, which this is what I think is going to happen. They added dummy years to his contract to soften the cap hit. He's coming back next year starting on the pup list. But they're probably going to be done with him June 1st, 2026.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen. If I was a betting man, I'd do that. So in the meantime, they're starting to just this is what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to focus on they're going to put in somebody in serviceable to play mid quarterback like a Jacoby Brissett, Kyle Trask, whoever it might be, Kirk Cousins, whoever it might be. Get a veteran, get somebody in there, just hold the fort down. Let's build up the rest of the team. Let's fix the running game and the line. I could see them drafting a running back like Montarian Hampton. I don't see Ashton Genty going to the Browns.
No, neither do I. Unless he falls to the second round, which I don't think will happen, right?
No. No, he won't.
Posh.
He won't. Yeah, Posh. What is that? That's true.
It is true.
But yeah, like I said, I'm like watching these bowl games, and I'm watching how these players are in bowl games. But there's one other intriguing thing I saw, and I reached out to Jack Duffin about this because he's a colleague and a friend. You heard the potential of JJ McCarthy?
I don't like
last
that
night
at all.
in Spaces, some friends were talking about it. I'm like,
well,
go ahead.
Noah, go ahead.
I'm just not a fan at all because if they're selling on McCarthy, that means they know something we don't. And I'm all the way good on some more fool's gold. I've had my fill of $230 million worth of fool's gold already.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
As a fan, I wanted him to succeed, and as a fan, I'm disappointed he hasn't, and I'm really saddened by this. I'm more mad about the draft picks than the money, if anything.
Yeah,
because if Haslam wants to spend his money, it's his money. He can do whatever he wants with it. But I understand. I mean, it's disappointing for everybody. What he said, I said, what do you think it would take if the Browns wanted to trade for McCarthy? But most of the things I'm hearing is that the Minnesota people are saying we're not trading him.
No, they're gonna.
They're
gonna develop that young man into something.
He said
for
2
them.
first-round picks. He said 2 first-rounders, and I'm like, oh hell no. They took him 10th last year in the draft. He's a top 10 pick.
Off of an injury, and we have no idea what he looks like in the NFL because of that injury. I think that offense is set up to let any quarterback succeed. We're seeing it with Darnold now.
Yeah, that's what we need to get to. That's what we need to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, that honestly, Sam Darnold's having a great year, and I'm happy for him. Yeah, and I just said, okay. But Sam Darnold would cost us if he came here as a free agent. So we don't have to.
Question we got up there in the comments.
Unless it came to the point where like we're not paying 30, 40, whatever asinine number he's going to end up pulling in like Baker did a couple years ago. I'd be interested in taking him for a year or two and seeing what he would look like. But the situation would have to present itself, and I just don't think it's going to for us. And I think you're spot on too, that it's like a stopgap, a Jacoby, a Kirk. Maybe Kyle Trask comes in and proves that he can be more than just a backup or a third stringer in the league, because that's all he has been so far. We roll with that for a season, maybe 2, depending on what our draft capital looks like, and you keep going from there.
Yeah. We'll deal with 2026 and 2026, but I think they're looking at this year because I think they know, and I'm not saying that they're on the hot seat, but they're on the hot seat.
Yeah,
they know they can't have another season like this.
Oh, for sure. They
know that
they're getting their get out of jail free card for this season as it is right now.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the NFL. You can't just be this bad, and a lot of it I think they have to fix. I think one of the top priorities has to be the line.
Yeah,
it has to be the offensive line, and it looks like I think this is Bitonio's last game.
I was going to ask you guys that
his
too.
Press conference. You listened to his last. It was
no, I didn't.
It sounded mellow and morose. Like you had to read in between the lines of
like
what
he knew this was it.
Kind of, yeah. Like he was kind of skirting around,
The offensive line is offensive. That's true.
Yes, it's absolutely. Posh says no. I mean, of course, we don't want him.
We don't want him to go, but
nobody wants him to go.
Can I be the Debbie Downer? Well, it's not really a Debbie Downer, but it would help the money a little bit with what we got going on. He has a pretty hardy contract.
Right. Yeah. Always a bright side.
No, it's not a Debbie Downer. It's actually a bright side on this.
Hell yeah.
I wrote in my article, like when I did the preview for this game, I said maybe the one bright side of this horrible season is having that top pick and being able to trade back and get some capital or get something in return that we lost with the Watson deal. Maybe it's like a weird serendipitous type of thing. I'm using my big words. Just
the universe is trying to fix itself.
Yeah. Please.
We've been through enough pain as it is, right?
Yeah, but the thing is too, we made the playoffs twice in the last 5 years. We have a playoff win too. where, you know, they're making it sound like it was like in 1989. I don't know. I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to ask. I was 16 in 1989. I was a junior in high school.
I was -11, but continue.
Okay. All right. It was on the ballot in May of 1989 for a syntax to build a new ballpark and arena downtown Cleveland for
Right.
the Indians and the Cavaliers. A lot of people were against it because they were perfectly happy with the Cavs playing at the Richfield Coliseum, and they didn't want the Indians to leave Municipal Stadium. Okay, and I'm leading into something. The Indians, from the last time they even made the postseason, was 1954. They haven't made the postseason for 35 years. Growing up in the 70s and 80s in Cleveland, going to Indians games, it was like empty in that stadium.
50 cents for a ticket is what my stepdad was telling me when we were talking about how crazy prices are now and everything.
How much was it for a ticket?
He was 50 cents with his dad in the nosebleeds at Municipal Stadium one time.
Hey, thanks, Bearded Browns podcast. Thank you. Those guys are cool. Yeah, don't worry. I won't tag you in this. All right.
You.
I know they're watching. So anyway, yeah, it was like if it was a great place to take a date if you wanted to be alone.
Nice.
Yes. They're constantly in last place. They were a terrible team. The movie Major League with Charlie Sheen and Corbin Burnson and who's the other guy? The catcher. What was his name? The actor. You know what I'm talking. He was in Platoon.
He was the coach in the next movie.
Yeah. Tom Berenger.
Yes.
Tom Berenger. Okay, so that movie came out in '89. Oh, stop it. Yeah, that's funny. So it was Tom Berenger. So I remember that movie came out. It was like, and this was just when John Hart, Hank Peters, and these guys took over the Indians that were hired by then Dick Jacobs. And the thing is,
Thank you, Steve.
that it was a joke. The Indians were a joke. And people were going, this team sucks, and you want us to coming to the taxpayers to build a new ballpark and blah blah blah. And the Cavs were happy in Richfield, but they wanted them to play downtown. They wanted that business to come downtown. It passed by 51 to 49% margin because the Major League Baseball commissioner pretty much came to the city of Cleveland and said, "You don't pass this, I'm moving this team." They would have left. We wouldn't have a Cleveland baseball team. We wouldn't have the Guardians or whoever you want to call them. So my point being was that was 35 years. Now we're talking about a new stadium here, and they've at least been to the postseason twice in the last 5. You know, I'm just saying it's a little bit there. Plus, there's nothing on the ballot for taxpayer money. It's kind of weird how they're going to do it. 2/3 of it's already privately funded, and the way they're going to do the last third is like a bond or a loan from the state. And they're gonna basically borrow taxpayer money and pay it back with a tax on this facility and the complex itself, whether it's parking, tickets, concessions, whatever. That's the plan. So that's coming up now too. I'm kind of segueing into that because people were just bitching because the team's doing bad this year, and they are. Well, now you want a new stadium. This is what my dad said at Christmas. He goes, "Oh, they want a new stadium now." And I looked at him. I said, "It's not a matter of want; they're getting it." I said, "It's happening." Well, the news broke. I mean, after the city sent the letter to the Browns saying we're going to invoke the Art Modell law. What did the city do? What did the Browns do? It said, "Hey, we're buying the land." So what does that tell you? You know, it's like
it's a complete petty off right now. It's so interesting to me.
It was great talking about it in Pittsburgh. I'm like, you want to hear petty?
Yeah,
well, right. Let me ask you this: in 1994, Jacobs Field opened up. The Cleveland Indians started playing there. So for basically, you're talking 40 years, from 54 to 94. They didn't even come close to smelling the postseason. 94 was a strike year. Okay, the season ended. 95, the Indians won a pennant. They went on since then to win 3 pennants, 12 divisional titles, and I want to say 2 wild card appearances since getting out from that stadium and just moving and going somewhere else. Maybe a new stadium might be a good idea. I'm just making a point.
Are you going with the cursed land theory that I've
Yes.
seen float around? Okay.
Yes, I heard where it came from
it.
too. I heard where it came from. The story I heard. You ever heard of Bill Veeck, the owner of the Indians when they won the World Series in
Oh
48?
yeah, you told me this is a good story.
Yeah,
Go for it.
he owned the Indians in 48. He was a guy. He was a wacko owner. He did all these weird promotions and stuff, and he was always a publicity guy. So when he sold the team, he had a ceremony in center field at the old Municipal Stadium, and they buried the 1948 championship banner in center field. Somebody broke into the stadium that night and stole it. That's what I heard.
Interesting.
That's what I heard. Plus,
and because we stole the flag, it's cursed land.
That's also on the landfill. It's on garbage.
Yeah, right.
It's on garbage. And so is the Burke Lakefront Airport. Now, the Burke Lakefront Airport argument's another really stupid argument. There's two things about it. The city has nothing to do with Burke. That's the Federal Aviation Association, the FAA. The Fed handles that. That land's not available for another 10 years.
As soon as even if they get approval, there's a 10-year window that would then open up. So there's no chance. Yes, 100%.
It's not going to happen. So that's all. That whole rendering, all that's PR bullshit. Well, the thing is, they're going to go to a judge, and if they get the right judge to say, this Art Modell law is invoked, because the Haslams are saying, well, okay, we're waiting until the lease expires. We're giving them 4-year notice. What's the problem? We're giving them 4-year notice, and we're fulfilling our obligation with the lease, and we're just moving 15 miles down the road. We're not even leaving the county. So how is the Art Modell law in effect here? So
it's stupid. This is the most back and forth you've seen for a 15-minute move ever. I mean, you start doing research and looking at some of these people that, some of these teams, some of these cities that actually went to fight. We're talking about St. Louis moving the Rams and LA. We're talking about Seattle, the Supersonics leaving Seattle and never coming back. We're talking about Art Modell the first time around, when they actually moved the team. All of that stuff still happened. The city still tried to fight back. We're arguing over and spending money over 15 minutes of drive time from where the stadium is right now.
And isn't there a better use of city resources than this?
Probably 100%. You could probably come up with 5, 10, 20 things that are better used than Mayor Bibbs writing this letter right now. But
yeah. It's just interesting. Just so you know, a quick Cavaliers game update. Right now, it's in the second quarter, 4:27 to play. Cavs 54, Mavericks 38.
Belt to ass.
Is that a little S&M talk there for Noah?
Apparently, right?
Whoa, wait. We could get there. We could go there if you want to. Yeah. Cameron Justice isn't here, so I could be bad. So
yeah.
I remember when she was on the show, Sherry's like, that is the most well-behaved I've ever seen you act. I had to be. I had to be. There's a couple times she kind of like her eyes got big. But anyway, I honestly, it seems to me like it's all dog and pony for them, because I think the Browns, once you see groundbreaking at that Brook Park site, that's when you know it's over. Because that's what's going to happen. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, there was one thing I was kind of thinking about a little bit too, is, Chicago is going through a very similar situation right now.
Oh, the Bears?
Well,
you mean
the Bears.
Yeah, because they're going to go to the suburbs too. Yeah, what's up with that? I don't know the whole details on that.
Yeah, so they were going to go to the suburbs. The suburbs were going to tax the hell out of them, so they went back to the city, and now they're doing something else. So really, we could sit here, we could talk about the stadium thing ad nauseum for months and months and years, potentially.
Which we will.
And we will, 100%. I'll do the same thing over at the office on Monday, probably, right? But,
stadium.
But until we see land break on any site that gets brought up in the next 2 to 3 years, and yes, it's like 99% going to be this Brook Park location.
I would think so.
Right. Yeah. There it's just null and void because Berea, or not Berea, technically Brook Park, my bad.
Mhm.
Same
Yeah.
area. Could be
Yeah,
like,
but
well,
they're-
we're gonna
they're-
tax you 20% more than downtown is, and then all of a sudden downtown and the Browns are best friends again, and we're throwing out these lawsuits and building a stadium, I don't know, on top of Key Tower that floats for
Yeah,
what?
they're gonna have it floating over the lake now. Yeah,
Right.
Oh,
we'll have it. It'll be a cruise ship.
Eric, one of my guys over at the office, when we were talking about this whole thing maybe a month or so back, was pulling up all these AI images of how ridiculous this is going to become. And it was like,
Oh,
let's
that's
move the
great.
Browns to the moon and we could just put this nice air bubble over it because at least there's shopping space there and all that.
Yeah, that would be
That's
great.
And hotels and
And
it would be
hotels.
so
Well,
so
another Butcher and the
lucrative.
Brewer or whatever the hell else you want.
Well, you know damn well he's not. They pretty much they bought the land. So
Right.
if they're going to get this built in a timely manner, this thing has to be finished. This thing has to start being built by the spring. You're talking 3 months,
Yeah.
right? So if you start seeing groundbreaking in March and April, it's a done deal. Well, I guess there's 2 dates that I heard about. January 9th, the Browns were supposed to respond to something.
The Mayor Bibbs letter, yes, you're
Mayor
correct.
Bibbs letter, and January 16th is the mayor. The city's supposed to respond to the Browns clarity lawsuit for clarity of the Modell law.
Yeah.
So, and really, the legal precedent for the Browns is look where the Dallas Cowboys play.
Right.
Look where the New York Giants and New York Jets play. Look where the San Francisco 49ers play. I mean, they're San
And the
Francisco.
Cowboys. Mhm.
Yeah, Cowboys are in Arlington, Texas, and that's where the next week at this time, Ohio State will be playing Texas in that stadium in the Cotton Bowl.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait. After that, watching that Rose Bowl beatdown, holy cow!
Tennessee, then Oregon. I'm all the way back in on the Buckeyes, and they'll probably break my heart on Friday.
You know-
but, here
No,
we are.
fuck that. No. You know what I'm seeing? No. Honestly, you know what I'm seeing? I think that loss to Michigan was like they're playing like they're
Come
pissed.
off. I'm being cynical for sure. I'm with you 100%. I think they're the favorite to win the whole thing for sure.
Well, they said whoever won the Oregon Ohio State game was probably going to do it.
Mhm.
'Cause
100%.
I don't see them losing to Penn State or Notre Dame, and I don't see them losing to Texas. They play like that. Well, the thing with the Michigan game, they had offensive line issues with the injuries. Michigan has a great defensive line, so let's try to run the ball up the middle. And I'm like, what are you doing? I mean,
Right.
play to your strengths, not their strengths. It was almost like they got sucked into something, and that's what happened. And that's honestly
we talk about this a lot. We're doing prediction shows every week right now with the college football playoffs, since it's the first time that they're doing the whole expanded playoff system and all of that.
Mhm.
It's almost like Ryan Day overthinks because he knows how important the game is to the fan base, the players, the alumni, the donors, and all of that, where he overthinks the game plan, goes completely left, and that's why he hasn't won in the last 3 or 4 years, however long it's been.
That's a good hypothesis.
Well, if you just go out there and play your game and do what you do best, you'll win. And that's what he just had to do. It's almost like I don't know what they were honestly thinking. All right, 60-45 with like 2 minutes to go. All right, cool. I don't know. That people were even saying that it was just Ryan Day just like had a serious hiccup in that game
Right.
against Michigan. It was just, but in a way, it could be a strange blessing in disguise, because if they go on to win the national championship, because like against Tennessee, they played like a team. I said this to John Suchan. I was like, they played like a team that was pissed. You could just tell they were like they had that, and they did the same thing. They were mad at Oregon for losing to them too. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens against Texas. I mean, if it was Arizona State, I wouldn't even be worried about it. I mean, in Arizona, I honestly, the end of that game, that was a targeting call. That should have been targeting.
Yeah, it should have. I know exactly where you're talking. I can't believe they didn't call it.
And they would have been on the 35, and they could have gained another 10 or 15 yards, kicked a chip shot field goal, and won the game.
Yeah,
They could have. So,
I'm curious, who do you guys have in the national championship? Like, if you had to pick, like you think you're picking the two teams that are going to go just based off of what you've seen in terms of college football. Sherry, I don't know if you're a huge college football girl, so you don't.
She is.
Wow.
She is. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh man, I don't. Penn State and somebody else.
Do you think Penn State's going to beat Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it's Penn State, Ohio State as well.
That would be
a
fun game. That would be a fun game. I was just excited to see them feature the marching bands during halftime. When does that happen?
That's in the Rose Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so great. That's it. And then they need more love. Those nerds.
The more the band nerds need love.
Yeah, they worked so hard.
That was the one cool thing
training.
about the opening game, this year's season opener, Ohio State's marching band.
That was pretty great. Yeah, that was
I got
great.
to see that was cool. That was cool. What's this? Notre Dame beat Penn State. Okay. Drew's picking Notre Dame. Let me see. He's got it right here. See? ND beat PSU. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I watched Notre Dame pretty much put a whooping on Georgia.
Yeah.
Sugar Bowl. That was just whoa. There's no SEC team. Well, no, Texas is an SEC.
Texas is SEC.
Which
now they are. Now they are. Yeah, it's just
sorry.
weird
The realignment is so bizarre.
Yeah. Well, like to see Oregon in the Big Ten, it's like what?
Yes, and
like,
UCLA
and USC.
Yeah, so weird.
It's just strange. But let's go ahead and we could but I just wanted to circle back to make my point about like the stadium and everything else. I am on board with the cursed land thing because I think, well, one, I just think that the building was built in a rush. The team was put together in a rush. And
the old saying, haste makes waste, is being applied.
Right. Haste makes waste. It was really, we didn't have a chance when this team came back in '99. And I think when they did the complete breakdown and started building it back up in 2017, it led to 2 playoff seasons so far, and we'll see what happens. I don't think a complete breakdown has to happen this time.
You're not a rebuild.
Speaking of breaks.
You want to do a break? Well, we're already there. Yeah, we should do that. Well, you know what? That's why I have her here. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's pause for a break from our sponsors right now. All right, we're back. Thank you, Sherry, for reminding me.
You're welcome.
I was gonna remind you too because we were like 50
I was like looking at the clock. I'm like,
I was on and.
I get into it and I forget. And also, hey guys, check out details on the show for the Hemisphere Coffee Roasters, sponsor of the show. Order up some good coffee. It's a local Columbus, Ohio company. They offer good coffee. Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Click on the link and order. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I don't think this has to be a complete breakdown and rebuild. I really don't.
It's a retool, not a rebuild for sure. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, I think. That's what the owner understands that, because if he wanted to get rid of everybody, that's it. A team that's going to rebuild completely is the Jets, because the Jets fired their GM, they fired their coach. Aaron Rodgers and all these guys are going to be gone. They might try to get their quarterback. They might completely do a fire sale. You don't know what they're going to do. Another one, Carolina, but they might build upon Bryce Young because they fired their coach. Who's the other one? Didn't the Saints fire their coach too?
Yeah,
the Saints and the Bears. There's 4 teams. There's 4 jobs, and Mike Vrabel's going to get one of those jobs.
Yeah, he is.
He could go to the Bears. He could go to the Jets. He could go to the Saints, and he could go to the Panthers. I think those are the 4 teams right now. Now, other jobs might open up next Monday. So the Black Monday. Do you think McCarthy's gone from Dallas, or do you think
They're so weird over there. They're so weird over there in Dallas.
Clinging to him. I could see them clinging
and just wanting to keep him for another year for no reason. They kept Jason Garrett so damn long. Should they both go? Probably at this point. I don't know. I'm not a fan of those teams. I'm not.
No, but it could impact like where Mike Vrabel goes. I want to see Mike Vrabel land on his feet and get a good job somewhere.
Yeah, me too. Especially because he's an Ohio State guy. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, 69-53, Cavs are leading at halftime. Yeah, They had a 37-point second quarter and a 32-point first quarter.
Love to see it.
Yeah, Jesus.
How are you guys feeling about the Cavs right now? Not to completely pivot you guys.
No,
I
no,
know
that's
it's
fine.
your
That's
show,
fine.
but
No, it's
you know,
we talk about Cavs. I'm wearing a Cavs. I'm wearing the 2016 shirt.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
I'm representing the Browns and the Cavs tonight. Yeah, see it? 2016.
No, it's a very exciting time to be a Cavs fan. I mean, this is
Oh, God.
magic. It would be what, their
This-
30th win tonight?
If they win, if this score holds up, they'll win. To be
wild.
honest with you, this is a championship team.
100%. Best coach
This
in the
is-
NBA right now. Best
team.
record, roster, whatever you want to say. They play team basketball and it's damn fun.
It's okay. In your lifetime, who do you think is the best team you've ever seen that you can remember in your lifetime? NBA.
In my lifetime, I mean, 2016 Cavs at this point.
2016. I mean, I'm not talking about Cavs teams. I remember the '86 Celtics.
Okay.
I was 13.
You're talking all time.
I'm talking all the '86 Celtics was one of the best teams I saw, but also the '96 Chicago Bulls. That was a team that they had Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. I'm trying to think who else was on that. Yeah, that was. I think that was their record was the 2016 Golden State Warriors broke their regular
the 72
season
and 10. Yeah, 73 and 9.
73
I would
and
say
9.
probably Golden State the year after 73 and 9. Thinking about it that
when they
way.
got Kevin Durant, when they had Kevin Durant to that team,
that last Kobe championship team.
Oh yeah,
what about
that was a good team. Oh yeah, that was a really good team. Go ahead.
The Patriots, at any point in that dynasty, I think of the 16-0, even though they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl that year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good ones. You're thinking 2000 on with me, so I'm trying to think of.
Well, that's why I said, because you're a lot younger than I am. So I'm just But if you talk to the old timers like me, like that '86 Celtics team, they had Bill Walton on that team with Larry Bird, Evan McHale, and all those guys. That was probably one of the best basketball teams I ever saw. But that's just me being maybe nostalgic, a little bit. But the best Cavaliers team of my lifetime was the 2016 Cavs. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you were talking Cleveland sports wise, which I guess is null and void because the championship team would be the only one that counts. I thought you were going to mention some of those 90s Indians teams, though, because I wish I was alive to see some of those.
The 90s Indians teams, I would say, when were you born?
2000.
2000. So so you don't even remember 95.
Uh-uh.
No, I was. Yeah, you wouldn't even know. I was 22.
Okay.
And I was wrestling, and I remember being on the road wearing my Indians hat. And they're like, "Oh, you're front runner." I said, "Dude, I always wore an Indians hat. I always did. It was funny because they said
how could you tell the kid from Cleveland area that he was a front runner? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I always wore the Indians hat. That was a front runner. They're like, "Oh, you're a fan now." It's like people are like, "No, I've known him. He's always wore his Indian stuff." I did too. I got mocked for it. I always was an Indians fan. I remember when Andre Thornton was on the team, Brooke Jacoby, Mike Hargrove when he was the first baseman, Chris Bando was the catcher, Ron Hassey was the catcher. I remember all those. Len Barker's perfect game, 1981. Oh yeah. There was a weird story about the 1981 Indians because there was a strike year, and the Municipal Stadium hosted the All-Star game, but because of the strike, it delayed the All-Star game. So when the strike ended, they started with the All-Star game, and it was in August. And the night before, the Browns played the Steelers in a preseason game, so they had the crews working that field overnight to get it ready for the All-Star Major League Baseball All-Star game.
That's crazy. I could only imagine Municipal Browns Steelers. Who gives a F about it being a preseason game? Just the stories that you hear, the amount of stuff they probably had to go through just to
Buddy
get
Bell. Buddy Bell was your favorite. I remember Rick Manning, Buddy Bell, Rick Manning. Oh yeah, Dwayne Kuiper. We're naming names here. Well, that's why it was funny because we made fun of a lot. There's 9:20 left in the game. Oh yeah, he was talking about Michigan State, OSU, Big Ten basketball. Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, I was wondering. Cool. Thanks, Drew. But I remember in the mid 90s when the Indians were popular and selling all these games and all these yuppies were showing up to these games. It's like they like
get out.
It was kind of like, it was weird. I could just see that happening with the Browns after 2029. I'm sorry, but my friend Harvey and I were season ticket holders. We're coming back next year, and he said he said I want to keep coming until the first season at the Dome. I said okay. I could do that with you. We might figure out how we're going to go to the games because sometimes he can make it, sometimes like I said, we don't even know the schedule yet. But I do you see something like that? It's going to be all yuppie-ish and corporate. I don't know. Are you worried about that at all?
A little bit. I'm worried about the
Yes.
prices with the tax break that's going to have to go into it to pay for it and all that. That
Mhm.
these tickets, I know they released some of the pricing
Ugh.
for the season
That
Oh,
tickets.
was
yeah.
jarring. Those prices were
Those are the most expensive seats. My seats for the season with this past year, and I think the year before, like $650 for 10 games.
That's
Yeah.
not bad at all.
No. And I take the Rapid, and I'm very thrifty.
So do you think that they would grandfather in to an extent some of the season ticket holders, or do you
I would
think
think
it's
I
going to
would
be like a
think-
Hell
firebomb?
no.
No, Haslam wants to firebomb us all and just start from the beginning all over
Haven't they
again.
been upping your season tickets, Lou?
They
Sherry?
have.
From last
I've
year to
been
this year, it
having
went
them
from
for
like
7.
60.
I've
It went
had
from
them
like
for
60.
7 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
they have been going 7,
They've
8
been
years.
going up.
They have been going up steadily. 2 years we got a break, but you
I
know
think
when
from
that was.
$60 a game to 65 was the last one. I'll see what next year is too. But yeah, like I said, look
Yeah,
what
I already got
groceries
the
cost.
email. They're going to be like, "Oh, here comes the payment for 2025 season." I'm like, "Great,
Great, thanks.
thanks."
And you guys can enjoy your nice coffee mug and
Oh, you mean our
license
nothing?
plate, right?
We
Right.
get no.
Yeah,
They never gave. They gave us an old shitty painter's hat that was like it's.
I got this hat. I got this
They
hat.
had a
that's-
Yeah.
stack of them at the Value World in Lakewood. I bought 2 of them.
I
Wore 'em
gave
like
one.
twice.
I mailed one to Lysandra because I'm like, what am I gonna? They're so off.
Dennis Eckersley was an Indian. Yes, that's true. The Hall of Fame closer for the A's. He also, his wife ran off with Rick Manning.
Huh.
That's a true story, right, Steve? I just had to point that out. That was just one of those things. Also, Dennis Eckersley threw a perfect game for the Indians too. Was a no hitter or perfect? I think it was a no hitter. Perfect game was Len Barker, but yeah. No, they're going to do PSLs. I think. Well, we'll
I
see
don't
what they
think
do.
we're gonna know until we know. I think
Yeah,
it's all
I think yeah.
speculation until the stadium is, coming together, not just a plot of land.
So those prices that came out though, I'm
We're
not
crazy.
a season ticket. Right. Oh yeah, they were crazy. Was that
Crazy.
something that they were sending to season ticket holders to show what that
There
was
was a
like?
survey. Yeah, there was a survey that came out.
Yeah, they're
So
just.
what-
I think a lot of those were the more expensive PSL seats.
Well, they
I think.
had ones
Okay.
up top that were in the thousands.
No, I'm not going to do that. If they try to throw that, I mean, if I can't afford it, I won't go. That's
Right.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's just sad,
Yeah.
because for people who've been going for so long and to be priced out is just not just what happens with the team, whether they're good
Well-
or bad. That's like the ultimate gut punch, like
I'm not going to worry about being priced out until it happens. I don't know
Yeah.
what I mean. That, like you said, we talked about the whole speculation thing, so
Mhm.
we'll have to see. All right. No, wait a second. There's one other thing I was going to ask you about. Oh, there's this thing. I'm going to be on. That's why I think he got traded. Oh, okay. Dennis Eckersley. Okay. I was just
Yeah,
wondering
yeah.
why that was. All right. One other thing I was going to. Bailey Zappi starting tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yep.
I will be on the Fanatical Elves pregame show with the Zappi's Pizza. I said I'm going to do that. I said that's what I wanted to make sure we did. I promised John I'd do it. He says, okay,
very
it's going to be 1:00 tomorrow. So I'm going to go to the gym, pick up the pizza, be at probably my father-in-law's house. I said, there, got a pizza. So hopefully it works out well. Maybe that means something, but like I said, we were talking before the show. That stupid. You know how else I've seen? You know, I know other places I've seen that type of jersey with a list of names that played quarterback for a while. I've seen it in Miami. I've seen it in Indianapolis. I've seen it in I want to say Dallas, and I've also seen it here. So it's not just Cleveland. First off, second, yeah, the team sucked for 20 years before Stefanski and Barry took over. But they retired that jersey when Baker Mayfield was drafted, but then people
dug it back up. That picture
Dug
always
it back
goes
up.
It was kind of almost fun last season because
Yeah.
of all the different quarterbacks they had to
Yes.
start, so I was cool with it. But now that starting and we suck this year. It feels like we're rehashing like the old meme, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like pulling up something from 2008 that doesn't really apply anymore. We
Yes,
had
agreed.
a guy, we moved on from a guy for a reason. You can agree with that reason, you can disagree with that reason, but it's not like it doesn't equate in my mind. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, it's not. Complaining about Brady Quinn now is just completely counterproductive.
Right.
It's just, I mean, it doesn't, you know, let's talk about Tim Couch, a guy we picked 26 years ago.
Right.
You know, it's so stupid. It's done with. And I don't know. I'm over that stuff. So that's just me. But last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up, what changes do you see happening with this team after starting next week when the season's over?
Sherry, you want to go first? I feel like I've been talking a lot. I want to let you.
No, I want you. I have you on here to talk. Do you want me to
sure.
go first? Or want Sherry to go first?
Sherry, you go ahead. And
yeah, Sherry, you go ahead. You don't. We want to make you talk. You know she's bilingual. She's bilingual. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yes,
What language is?
Her second language is jive. But it has a Jewish dialect, so it's Jew
It does.
jive.
It is.
Gotcha.
It is very.
She's. Go ahead.
It's not.
I watched
mainstream.
Airplane earlier today.
Yeah, it's not. It's not
I
mainstream.
speak jive. I speak
What?
jive. Jive.
Honestly, I'm gonna be very relieved. I'm gonna be glad that the season is over and take a breath of fresh air. Focus
grass.
on
Reach in the snow and touch some grass.
yes, dig out some dead leaves and maybe chew on them a little bit, see what happens. To think this whole season was just a hallucination and it didn't.
You might catch a buzz. Yeah.
Yeah, one can hope. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm honestly happy that it's going to be done.
But do you see changes happening with the team? What do you predict?
O-line changes. I
You
want
speak-
DeJuan Jones to come back healthy. I would like to see him start as left tackle.
He impressed me at tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did. He actually was. I think he's a great. From what I've heard, he's a really good guy and a great young man. And the thing was, I remember Sherry and I talked about this. I was listening to the Odyssey app, but I'm helping my father-in-law. It was like the third day of the draft, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I was just listening, and they said DeJuan Jones. Like, oh, okay, the guy from Ohio State. I knew who he was. They said, yeah, he's 6'10", 350 pounds, and I'm like, Jesus. I was like, God, he's a monster.
He's huge.
He is
they call him Thanos.
Big Thanos. You know, for me, I'm with you on that, Sherry. I want to see him come back. I want to see him play. He came into camp overweight, though, and I think that's something that needs to be highlighted. I think that'll help with his injury issues and all of that. If he gets down to a more sufficable playing weight, not fat shaming the guy because he still played good NFL football, but, you know, being at a sufficable weight where we're not worried about the weight being an issue with your injuries. That's something for sure I want to see as well.
I'd have him work out with Ken Carman and Adam the Bull.
Oh, I knew. I didn't think you were going to bring up Ken Carman, but Adam, man,
get him on the treadmill with those guys. Come on.
He'll thrive. He's young.
If you want to look skinny, you hang out with fat people. that's what
I've been watching a lot of The Sopranos. Wow. Talk about fat guys.
Oh, yeah. And jogging suits that look like they never jogged in their life.
You know, it's funny that you say that because that was one of the fondest memories I have of my grandmother.
Wearing a jogging suit?
No. We were in New Jersey at a McDonald's. Well, she had plenty of
I just think it's just okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
She was a huge mafia aficionado, and we were down from Long Island to New Jersey, and we're at a McDonald's getting breakfast before cousin's bar mitzvah, and a big black Lincoln Town Car pulls up with Jersey plates, and it's a scene like out of any gangster movie. And this was before The Sopranos, I think, or maybe right when it was happening.
Goodfellas era.
Yes. And guys that were in the McDonald's wearing jogging suits, waiting to be picked up, went out. So Grandma and I held hands and giggled like schoolgirls because we're like, we know what just happened. And
yeah, there's a body in the trunk. Yeah.
Well, No doubt. I mean, my mom told you.
Yeah,
She could
yeah.
go on for
Well,
hours.
let me
But
just tell you what I think is going to happen. It's not going to be a Black Monday for the Browns, just so you know. I like your story. I just want to don't get me
To
wrong,
Reel
prove
it
but
the
I'm
in,
point,
reel it in, right?
reel it in. Let's reel it in. I think Ken Dorsey's gone.
Me too.
I think Bubba Ventrone's gone.
Me too.
I think there's going to be changes on the special. I think not much changes on the defense staff, if any. But I do see changes on the offensive staff. I think they're going to promote an offensive coordinator within, and Stefanski can go back to calling plays. It's going to be more offense centered around him with a Jacoby Brissett type. I see Nick Chubb staying and signing a team-friendly deal. You're nodding. Noah, you agree? But
Yeah,
I
I
also
agree.
see them drafting a running back.
I agree.
I see that happening too. And
It's
that's
too
how
deep of a draft for them to not draft a running back in this
this
draft. You might
I-
as well.
I really like a second-round pick on to get the UNC running back, Montarian Hampton. I really like him. He led the ACC in rushing. I heard a lot of great things about him. I'm not a scout, but I'm just doing based on I've written about him. I would love it if they got Abdul Carter opposite of Myles Garrett.
That is my number one grab in the first round right now. I haven't got to do my own draft breakdowns and all of that.
Or your mock draft? You doing a mock draft?
Oh, I always mock draft. I know you're not a mock draft guy, but I have fun with that.
It's fine. It's fun. That's all I say. It's fun. You don't live and die by them. That's all I tell people.
Oh, 100%.
Because a lot of
it's a good
stuff
time, though. It's a fun thing to write about too. We both write for the network after all, right?
Yeah. It's things to talk about. And I think I did. I want to do one on Graham, the Michigan defensive tackle, because I think you put him on that defensive line next to Michael Hall. Wow. I mean,
right.
I think Abdul Carter and Mason Graham are like the two blue chippers you get in the top three. If they don't trade back, if they take one of those guys, okay, I wouldn't complain at all.
Right.
And they just sit there and you take your picks. But if they get a chance to trade back and get something, and still get a really good player, but not necessarily a blue chip guy, it all depends on how the trade plays out before I say anything.
100%.
But I've heard rumors that if Dorsey's gone, they might promote Tom Rees to offensive coordinator, but Stefanski will call the plays next year, which will flip everybody out. But
all over again, sure.
It's like that just I swear to God, do you ever watch what's that? I was writing the article of the Rose Bowl game summary, and there was a podcast that was on YouTube with Kirk Barton. You know who I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It's Ohio State podcast.
Okay.
And there's just a summary of the game and everything else. And it was just so funny what he was talking about with his co-host about how Ohio State fans were complaining about Will Howard not being able to throw the ball deep. Just shit like that. And it's like, it's everywhere. You're dealing with people that are like Rain Man, but not good at math.
Right.
So,
no, 100%. Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, God. So that
the
it's
armchair quarterback,
the armchair offensive coordinators, the armchair people. So let me see. What is this? I think O-line coach is gone. He might. I think it changes the offensive staff. Yeah. And running back Scadaboo, that Arizona State running back. I don't know if they'll take him. You know what I'm talking
he's
about?
going to be a day 3 pick from what I know right now. Obviously, combine and all that changes things. I like Scadaboo. He was the center of that whole offense, but I don't know if he's going to be the answer at running back.
I don't know either. Because I remember the Saquon Barkley draft. We didn't take Saquon. We took Baker and we took Denzel, and we waited till the second round to take Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Think that worked out? I mean, you got perennial Pro Bowlers right there, Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward. So awesome. Hey guys, thank you. Noah, always love having you on here, man. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Good to talk to you guys again.
Right.
And Terry, awesome. Thank you as always. Check out her show. Your show will be Wednesday night at
9:15.
9:15, and I will be on the pregame show for Fanatical Elves tomorrow at 1:00, and Johnny Cleveland and I will be on Stirring the Pot, and I'm sure I'll have a lot to swear about. And Noah, when is your show coming on?
Yeah, so we do Mondays typically at 7, Wednesday. Okay. Next week, it'll be Wednesday after the Cavs game because I have a Cavs shift to work. We're going to be talking college football next week. We're going to be talking a lot of Browns on Monday. We're going to be talking, some college football uniforms, a little bit lackadaisical with all the hard stuff that's going on right now.
Nice.
Noah's doing his own. He wanted to know where's Noah now, Steve.
So you can follow me at my @ at Noah Olson 77, or as well as our show. We're at The Office CLE is our show that we do underneath Fans First Sports. So we're all still friendly over here.
Mhm.
We just kind of broke off and did our own thing for sure.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool, man. Yeah, you're free to do that too. It's been fun, guys. Oh, thanks. Thanks,
Thank
Drew.
you, Drew.
Hey,
thanks for
thanks for
joining.
joining us and commenting, Drew. We
Mhm.
appreciate you. Appreciate all of you, man. And
I
Noah,
appreciate you guys having me. It's always a blast to come on here on a Friday night when I can make some time and chat with you too. So
Absolutely.
All right, 82-63 Cavs, 7:35 in the third quarter. So there you go. All right, perfect. All right, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you. Check out, like I said, everybody's shows that we just talked about. And always remember, when the river burns, it burns brown and orange. We will see you next week, Friday night, and we will have who are we going to have with us? Sure, we got a person that we added a person, didn't we?
Yeah, Amelia. Amelia's going to be
joining us. She's going to be on. So hey,
That'll
thank
be
you guys
great.
for joining us. Like I said, when the river burns, it always burns brown and orange. Good night.